Very good afternoon. Welcome to the webinar. My name is Kath Smith and I shall be going through today's presentation on C21, also known as Dairyplan from company GEA. So welcome along if this is your first one with me. Very pleased to have you here, and I also see we've got some regular attendees, so that's lovely. We're going to be looking at fertility today and also how to change reports to get them exactly how you want them in terms of data showing. Just a couple of points. You're probably all familiar with this if you've been here a few times, but in terms of the webinar itself, if this is new to you, you've got a control panel on your right hand side of the screen, which might well be minimized, but you can extend it anytime. And there is a question panel on there. So anytime if you want to ask a question, do pop that in, send it. I do ignore them deliberately until the very end, and then I will certainly come to them and go through those. Absolutely. Rather than typing in reams, and I've been and attended a webinar myself, I know it's quite complex to type something in and listen at the same time. So just click your hand button also on your control panel, and then you can actually ask the question directly. Again, at the end, we can come to those also. And just a matter of course, if you can't hear anything right now, just check the settings are on computer audio, so you should be able to hear me, or phone call if you have dialed in. Okay, so that's the bits and pieces over with. Let's go into Dairyplan itself and have a look here. Just see if I can't make that a bit any bigger, but it will open up into full screen in a second. So from the Dairyplan main menu, we have got a variety of headings across here that lead into different reports and also some key areas along the side. I just wanted to use one example today from a report writing perspective. So important reports here. And you can see we've got a mixture really. So there's milk production, there's feeding, there's vet actions as well. Milk production is one we use an awful lot of the time. And I'll just ignore that screen. That's because I'm on a copy of some data. And you'll see here then, these are what are called factory originals. So they are fixed reports in terms of what you can see. You can change the sort order. And with this one, you've got some filters along the side, so you can actually filter out days in milk or average yield. So you can do a certain amount with them, but it might be, particularly with this one, it's a really nice example, you want to add in some other information relating to those cows in order to collate everything together. So if we've got a design button at the top here. This is the D button. If you hover the mouse over, it will come up as a design. And this is where you want to head. But when you first go into here, you get a message saying, this is a factory original report. So it actually tells you what to do, which is really handy. So you can only make a few changes. If we want to save as, we can then create a brand new file and do a whole lot more with it. So just to illustrate that, if I go to OK, you'll see then the report design now. So we've got 3 tabs we can play with. We can choose which animals we want to see based on their status. And certainly it might be you want to lose the dry cows and the leading up to calving as in the first instance, because we're looking at milk production. So these are cows that are currently in milk. So that's one option there. You can also limit it by group, and you can limit it by lactation numbers as well. The limits page itself, now these are formulae that are built in specifically. They refer to the filters on the left hand side, so I'll leave those well alone. And then you've got the sorting, so we've defaulting by cow number. You can add a new sort item or reverse sort order, but before we do that, if I just cancel out of there, you can actually change the sort order on the grid itself just with a right click in that particular column. So this shows you which column I've clicked on, individual milk weight, sort using this column, and then you'll see it does do in ascending order. So that's one thing. You might want it in descending, in which case you need to go back to the design and then tick that little box for reverse sort order. So that's what that's referring to. Okay, so those are our options currently within the factory original report. So it's a fair few bits anyway, and the save button is now lit up. So if we did want to save that as a permanent change, we can save it and we're away. One feature of this report, or anything like this, so this is part of a program within the program, if you like. This is called DP list, and you can see the type of report that it is. It's got a little DP and then a piece of paper behind it. So a bit like Word, I suppose, as a comparison. Last webinar that I did show you, and I'll do it again now. Just have to shift my control panel out of the way. A second, there we go. For any list like this, where you're looking at a long list of cows, when you scroll down, you lose your headings. It's often difficult to see which heading is which, particularly milk yield related. So what we do, we move the mouse to the very top corner, just above the scroll bar button. If I move the mouse up here, you can just hopefully make that out. It's changed into a line. And then I drag that down just below the headers, and it splits the screen. So now when I scroll down, my headers stay where they are. I can get right to the bottom and then see my total line and averages where applicable. So a really useful tool. That one doesn't save, unfortunately. So you will need to just split that each time if you need to. I mean, after a while, you'll be familiar with the headings, hopefully anyway, but it's a very handy feature. So we want to increase our options on the design of this report. So what we have to do, as the instruction was, go to File, Save As, and then it will open up our Dairyplan folder. It's always a good idea to put any reports that you make into your Dairyplan folder, so everybody will have that on the C drive. It contains an awful lot of files, all the workings of Dairyplan itself, and a lot of parlour bits and pieces as well. So if you do upgrade your computer, or something goes wrong with your computer, that folder can be copied, so then all your reports that you've made specifically will then be copied across as well. So yeah, stick the report in there. It defaults to a name, so the original name is milk and just puts an X on the end, but you can call it whatever you like. So I will do that one. I'll save it. It's probably one I've done already. Yes, so I'm just going to overwrite my existing. And then you're back on the report, so nothing visual has changed particularly, but you can see in the top left we've got milk X up here. Now when I go to the design, we've got lots of different options. So we've still got status and groups, which cows we're looking at from a status perspective. The limits haven't changed, and the sorting option there. So there you can see my new sort option that I've added. Now we've got some columns. So these refer to all of the column headings going across here in red. And they are, a lot of them are done by formulae. You can see we've got abbreviations for certain things, but don't be put off because it is very easy to find out the exact ones that you need, and after a while you'll get the hang of it, and you can also search, so it's got a really good help facility to find exactly what you need. So columns are here. The headings, the bits in red, are actually a separate entity, so that's the overall heading for the report. And these are the headings. When you first start off on a factory original, you see they're all built in. You can spend a lot of time getting this exactly right, because what you'll want to do perhaps is to add a column, which I'll show you in a second, and then add the appropriate heading and fit it inside the headings list as well. And you can line up, it even tells you here, look, press the apply button to see how the columns line up. But don't spend hours, creating reports. Do come and find me, give me a shout if you need a particular report doctoring, as it were, with certain things. We've been doing this for years now, so chances are I've already got something ready-made that will suit you down to the ground, or we can tweak it specifically for your settings. Okay, so what I want to do, and the other ones here as well, you may not need these so much. We've got summary. That does become useful actually with the totals at the bottom. So you can see we've got averages, totals, so that refers to the bits in red down here. It becomes useful with subsection summaries when you're looking at this list by group first, and if you listen to my previous webinar, I went through that in a bit more detail as well. And then formatting, so that's kind of standard formatting for dates and printing, that kind of thing. Questions, so this is where we sneak in a bit of German here, lost in translation from the original program, but yeah, basically Lact is milk and Tage is days, so that's the days in milk that it's referring to over here for the questions. And again, we have created certain bespoke reports with particular questions that you're wanting to ask in terms of filtering, so yeah, don't struggle, we can help you with those as well. So just as a really simple example, I go into columns. I've got all my milk bits and pieces and cow identities here, but I really want to know how much cake they're eating per day. So down to the bottom. So that column there, lactation total milk, corresponds to this one here, and the heading is just slightly to the left, but that's fine. I add a new column, and then you can see here, so as I was saying, everything is kind of abbreviated. Most of it is intuitive. Days in milk is DIM, for example, and you can go to a particular category. Chances are you will find what you're looking for. So feed amounts, here we go, and then feed ration. Yep, that's the exact one I need. So it's RATN. I don't think the capitals matter so much, but you can just type in ration. And the program is brilliant. It will tell you if you're going wrong. So if I do that, it says, well, unknown code, yellow, doesn't like it. Put the N in. Oh, yeah, I see what you need. You want feed ration. So it really helps you along every step of the way. Now, if you've got several columns to add and you know exactly what the formulae are, you can just do a comma and then add in something else. If I just do, for example, ration 1, that's you might be you have 2 or 3 different rations, if you've got in parlour and then out of parlour, so you can add all of those that apply. Also, I think we've got it on there as well, but just as an example, I can do days in milk, so you can fill in several at once if you need to. But for ease, I'm just going to stick with the 1. There we go. And you can only proceed if the formula is correct. So click OK. That's fine. If you can't click OK, it's not right. Now we've got our ration here. So if I OK that one to save it, it will bring through the data. So a couple of things here. We haven't got a heading yet, so we need to put that in. And you can see at the bottom, we've got some stars here where there isn't enough room to put in the total amount. So this line refers to totals. Sometimes it's an average, but we need to move that column along a little bit to the right in order for those stars to populate. Sometimes with this report in particular, you will have some stars and there's nothing you can do about it. I think with the milk, either the 24-hour or the average, it doesn't give you a value. That's quite deliberate. But for this one, I would certainly expect a total cake because I want to know how much cake I'm feeding per day. So we go back to our design. And we need to firstly give it some space. Now a space between the columns is denoted with this little symbol here, little sort of hat symbol, I don't know what you call it actually. So if I add, I can tell you where to find it though. You do Shift and then the number 6 on your keyboard, and if you look on your keyboard now, you'll see 6 has got a little hat on it. Again, yeah, if you know what that symbol is, let me know. I have no idea what it's called. So just click OK. I've brought that in. And there it is there, but it's no good on the end. I need to actually put it between those 2 columns there, so we can just move up. So that's the other thing. You can change your order of your columns equally as well. Move up, move down. So there we go. It's in between those 2. Now, if I apply that without OK, I can just see the changes that it's made before I go out. There we go. It's shifted it to the right quite nicely. I think I need another one though. So I'm just going to put another one in there. Okay. And again, it's always at the end, so bring it up a bit more. That's better. Now, I have a feeling these stars may be related to another summary actually that I need. So having said that, that hasn't worked, as you can see, so I need to bring in another line. That's fine. So the other bit we've got to do, we need to add a header. So I go to headings. And what you have to do, so this is the fiddly bit, if you like, just go into the column headings box. So these are literally placed exactly where they are appearing on here. You see some of them are just slightly to the left. So if I were to press a spacebar here, that bottom row all moves along, and then I can apply. And you can see it's made an immediate change. So you can really, as I say, spend hours fiddling here. What I'm doing now, just arrowing, so the arrow key to the very end, and then I press the space bar a few times and I can put in, actually go to the top row, if I put in feed here, and then the bottom row is separate, so feed ration. Whoops, gone too far there. There we go. So let's apply that one. See how it looks? So that's in, but it's far too over. So I need to just space in between, and again, arrow down and space. You get the gist. I won't be too perfect on this one. So we've now got it reasonably lined up. That header will now stay in place, so we know exactly what that column refers to. And then OK to save. And again, save if you haven't saved already. Save button at this stage. So we've still got some stars in our total, and I know we can bring that through. So let me go back into my design. We need to look at the summary, so that's referring to the red lines, and let's bring in a totals, apply. That doesn't work either, why not? Averages, yeah, should be a total somewhere. Oh, what the heck, I'll just click all of those. Let's see. No, that doesn't work so well, does it? Should have a total there. Okay, well, I won't dwell on it too long, but generally speaking, it might just be my formatting. We should have a total amount of cake. I can certainly, for this particular report, as I say, don't spend hours doing this. I've already got it set up with feed in place. We have a report called Milk and Feeds, so I can email that template to you very easily. It's got the feed ration that you're feeding now and against a recommended as well. So if you do change the feed settings, you can come back to this report. Again, it's covered in another webinar actually, and then you can compare what am I about to feed based on my new calculations before I switch it on versus what I'm feeding now. So yeah, don't reinvent the wheel, just give me a shout and I can help you with all of these. So yeah, so that gives you an idea of the types of settings that you can change on any of these lists really. So any DP list, you can save it as a new one and then add columns in, take columns out equally, you know, just get 2 or 3 bits of data that you need possibly. Okay, so that's part 1, if you like, of my webinar today. Now let me close out of there. So we're back on our Dairyplan main menu. The other topic was fertility, and there's a few bits and pieces around. So we'll look at animal monitoring from Dairyplan menu, and then your reproduction overview. Okay, and again, we'll have some settings on here that usually we need to adjust. Right, there we go. So it's a busy graph, it's a braille chart, and we've got lots of cows. So there's several things to point out here. So this is your sort of date stamp, not so much time of the year, but cow calendar, if you like. So calve today is always at the top here. We've got then this blue line, you can just see, sort of turquoisey, some people might call that green, turquoisey line for when you want to serve by. So based on the settings within the program, which you can adjust. So it all relates to the status of the cow. We've got a preg check line here in green, and that corresponds with the color coding anyway. You see down here in the key, pregnant cows are green. And then right the way around, dry off at this point, and then we're looking for expected calving, you know, within that window. But firstly, we've got it in yellow here. There is not enough space to display 194 animals. So we've got a large herd here. They aren't all going to fit on one chart. Now, again, I need to move my control panel out of the way. Right, let's get the way. On the right-hand side, you can see, and again, your control panels might be in the way, but hopefully yours is shifted to the left slightly. We've got some similar icons that we've had before. That is design one. There's a 3-headed cow button, which is on most screens, and that's your selection criteria. So that could be our first port of call. If we click on there, can we shrink our selection down so that all the cows fit on one graph? So one option might be to change the graph by group. So if we just say, I want group 1 animals only, click OK, the graph refreshes. Still not enough space, but it is better. So that's now showing just group 1. We'll go in again in the design. Oh no, sorry, wrong button. The 3-headed cow, there we go. So can we take off anything else on here? Now in theory, if they're all in group 1, they're possibly milking cows that are active anyway, but it would be just worth checking. Get rid of cull maybe, so those are cows that have gone but possibly the records are still showing, and also remove the heifers, bull calves and calves. You can actually just select milking cows if you want them, depends if you need dry or lead as well. So just a few selections that you can choose, just see if that makes a difference, which it hasn't in this case. The other option is to shrink the graph down. So that's with, again, on the right hand side, we've got a minus button and a plus button. Looks like a little mouse with a minus on it. So if I press that, the writing shrinks and gradually you get there. Okay, that's marvelous, but we need a big pair of binoculars to see exactly what we're looking at. So it may not be very practical. You can hover the mouse over and it does tell you who that cow is. But you just have to really, play about with the settings. Let me make that bigger again because I can't read it anyway. So equally, if you've got enough space, you can go larger. So group settings is one idea that often works, but it does depend again how many animals are in a group, and also if they're all clustered together, particularly block calving, then they're never going to fit. So you might have to split it up a little bit differently. If you've made a filter of that sort, you then again need to save as a new report. So this is a different style. This is a DP repro graph. It's the only one actually, and you can see there's a different sort of icon for this one with a little yellow dot. So save it as a new report in your Dairyplan folder. The other thing I haven't mentioned yet is the desktop shortcut. So once you're happy with it, same with the other list actually, make a desktop shortcut and then it will appear on your desktop and you can just go straight in. As I say, don't save it to the desktop primarily because, as I say, if you do change computer, you might lose that report when everything's copied across. Okay, so we've made our selections as best we can. Now, what else is going on? Actually, I'll just bring back the whole herd just for effect. So let's take that one out of there. So you could do it by lactation number equally if you just want heifers or something like that. And those selections you'll see on pretty much every report within Dairyplan. So you can always just have a lactation 1 report or a dry cow list or whatever it is, or a group. So we've got some interesting flashing going on here. So this herd straight away I know has got activity pedometers or collars, and it's the activity that it's alerting me to now. So what's happening? Now, very often when I go through this with a farmer, I always have to think, oh, what's yellow, what's white? I always forget. So don't worry if you do as well. What we can do is press F1 at this point. And F1 is your help, and it's a really good help, this one. It's all built in quite nicely, and it tells you exactly what you're looking at. So here we go, DP Repro Graph Program, it's found it. Now if I go down, flashing points indicate animals with high activity. So you go into the link here, and then you've just got a little bit of text as to what means what. So referring to res counter 2, so the two hourly activity alarms. Slow flashing white is a suspicious alarm. So that would be this cow here, 4256. So she's maybe not full on activity, but something's going on with her data certainly. So a bit of an increase there. Slow flashing yellow is a full activity alarm. So most of these ones at the top here, 4165 for example. So yeah, it'd be worth investigating those. Their graph should show a bit of red on them. Fast flashing is a full alarm and it's within the expected heat cycle. So that's 4239. You see the speed of the flash is a little bit quicker. So not only has she got a full activity alert, but she is within cycle. So possibly 21 days ago, she had a heat or a service. Okay, so use your F1 just to refer to what those mean. Color coding, as I've explained as well. And also the dots are important. So 4239, we know she's had an activity alarm. If I just hover the mouse over, you've got some information about her there as well. Lactation 2, you can see 4 inseminations, and she's actually 35 days after a service. And you can just make out, if I make this a bit bigger, she'll probably drop off now. No, my luck. Yeah, she's gone. Hold on, I'll go back to smaller. There she is. You just see the dots after her number refer to number of serves. So there are 4 dots after her number, which means she's had 4 services. So that's what that refers to. Okay, so really nice graph, and you can manipulate it in so many ways again to get exactly what you need. Okay, moving on from there. So that's an overview of fertility. There are some other distinctive graphs and reports as well, which I will just show you where they are. In statistics, we have expected dry-offs and calvings. And this one again is a different style report within the program, herd stat this time. So we've got a bar chart and we've got some data on here. So cows dry, and this is expected. So what we're looking to be drying off based on the knowledge of the cow calendar information. So cows that are served. We don't necessarily need a PD on this program, but as soon as you serve a cow, you'll see the future actions come up as due to PD, due to dry, and due to calve if she holds to that service. And then we've got our calving pattern here, so calving future actions on that one. There's a few other bits as well, milking cows. Now some of these you can see have a very odd sort of 0.2 or not a whole number, and it's simply because just the way the calculation works, we've got cows coming in and going out all the time in terms of in milk and dry, so it's just as an average that's what the number comes to, so it's not always a whole number. So that's one graphic to look at. Come out of there, so that's under the statistics menu. I'll just refer to my notes here a minute. Yeah, now the other area for some real fertility information, we've got reproduction here, which are basically all of the action lists. So who's due to calve, due to dry, etc. If you go across to the M menu, most of you in the UK, I would have thought, will be on the DP menu option. There might be a few other options if you're on a robot, but that's our sort of standard default. You can go across to the NA menu, so North America, I understand. Just change that menu setting. They just need to remember to change it back again when you've finished. Otherwise, whoever comes into the Parlour program next will be completely lost. So you can see we've got a different interface now, but worth showing you because under the reproduction header in here, we have then reproduction monitoring, and you've got lots of other different reports. So the reproduction overview, that's the graph we were just looking at with the Bray chart. But all of these lists here, you can look at conception rates by a whole load of different things. So if we try service sire, for example, there you go. And then you've got some nice service information there to see conception rate by bull, or it might be by AI person. Depends entirely on the data, of course, going in, but you can see then certain stats that will be really useful if you haven't got any other means of collating them. So to get that back to normal, go back to the M menu. So do remember to do this, but give us a shout if you've got get stuck at all. DP menu, and that puts it back to the more familiar setting for you. Okay, I think I've covered everything. Actually, that's really good. So bang on time, but I will certainly look at the questions now. See, we've had some coming in. One from Sue. Is there a report that will tell me where all of a specified bull's semen has been used and its conception rate? Yes, so that one just covered literally, Sue. So hopefully that answers your question. But also, in terms of the bulls specifically, you have got from your original menu, your cow sire menu there. Oh, hang on, sorry, I just need to move my questions out of the way. So cow sire administration. In terms of semen stocks, then you can go to enter semen inventory. And you will have then, if you've kept a tally of how many straws you've got for each bull on hand in there. So if that needs starting off, excuse me, to buy the straws in the first place, we go to cow sire administration again and change data. So enter size is to put a bull in the first place. Change data, you can then look at a particular bull, click OK, and then in here we've got things like AI code and then straws on hand. So that is how many straws you've purchased. So you could put your semen stocks into there and then it will start to count down once you serve a cow. Okay, all right. Oh, and which cows you've used it on as well. Yeah, now that one, I'll have to dig that one out. Actually, can't think off the top of my head, but I will make a note and let you know. So which bull? We might need to do a bespoke report for that one. So I'll come back to you, Sue. Thank you. Okay, any other questions, or if you want to press the hand button? feel free. No, all good at the minute. So yeah, a couple of interesting topics there. It's a really good program. This is one of my favorites because it does, you know, allow you flexibility, and you can get exactly the information that you need in a really nice layout. And the report writing, although it might look daunting to start with, it's once you're familiar, it's really nice to work with actually. So that's great. So what I'll do, just finish off then with a couple of other slides. I mean, there's lots to cover on C21. So if you're you know, wanting to look at more webinars, do drop me a line, and we can, you know, with any feedback at all, happy to keep going with these while we're all in lockdown and beyond, really. So yeah, do let me know. They are always recorded, so we are storing them on our website under the heading software. There's training, a little box in there, and then you'll see training webinars. So there's lots of different webinars in there, but the C21 ones are all grouped together. So feeding one I've covered recently, or on YouTube if you prefer that as well. So these are my details. Yeah, do drop me a line, as I say, if you would like to see more of the same. Just a final check. There we go. Okay, thank you very much for your time, and I'll hopefully see you soon. Bye for now. Stay safe.